I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and this is Belgium's last chance to qualify for the next round. Thank you for doing the introduction, Craft Your Ref. Already so many of you are here. Hi Elias, hi Melvin, hi Nicholas, hi Nico, hi Pichan, hi Joseph, hi Juliano, hi Melvin, hi Steven. And yes, of course, technical issues. This is not... This wouldn't be Alexey's Carcassonne channel if we weren't having technical issues. So the match already started. I'm going to do an introduction later. But yeah, obviously Portugal so far undefeated, and what else? Belgium so far pretty much defeated multiple times, but not always. So if Belgium wants to qualify, then they absolutely have to win, but it will be hard. And we will be looking at, I think, what's the most interesting duel. That will be the player with screen name 75 Knives and the player with screen name Glovier for Portugal with the yellow meeples. Also, do let me know if like the audio is okay or anything. So one of the technical issues is y'all can hear me, I'm pretty sure, but I can't really hear myself. Anyway, yeah, finally, I know. Well, oh, did I say 75 knives? I've given 71 knives a little bit of an upgrade. Oh, by the way, Raf, whilst you're in the chat, could you let us know, like, what's the story behind the screen name 71 knives? Like, why did he want to call himself that way? Oh, okay. Such an interesting move here from the player with the yellow meeples. Okay, ready? So as we see, like, opening is quite normal, so we didn't miss that much, you know. 71 knives, the Belgian player finished this city, and yellow finished this city, so it's like 4 versus 6. Green started a road over here. That's quite nice for them, now starting a new city, and green also has started a new city over here. But yellow tried to block them. Green managed to save the square, and then yellow immediately jumped on this 5 points anticipation road. So whenever green finishes his city, yellow will get some compensation. But as we can see now, the opening advantage goes to the Belgian player because he scores a monastery for 6 points, will in all likelihood get his meeple back, and has 2 further monastery spots next to his monastery. Quite a strong opening here for the Belgian player, and I assume the entire country of Belgium is hoping for the upset in this pair. Well, the upset rating-wise, as you can see, the Portuguese player is slightly higher rated, but I think they are the slight favorite. They have been showing quite good results before. Knives Song by Therapy, Nico is saying. There's something that I don't know. Why are plurals in English so weird? Yeah, tell me about it. It's knives, but roofs, for example. Anyway, maybe I can just avoid that and use the singular for the rest of the game. Or I could just call him Carl. That's because this is his actual name, as far as I remember. Well, anyway, so far, some not that many developments. We can see that green has managed to close down his city, and so he's quite happy with this arrangement. He will be able to extract one of the daggers, not knives, but daggers, that fit into this square, and he'll probably drop a farmer or something like that when he finished it. You see, there's a lot of green squares. This field has really a big potential. On the other hand, yellow has to be happy with his open city at the bottom, and well, if he does manage to close it, he'll have 6 more points on the scoreboard. So only a slight advantage for Belgium now. Farmer now or farmer later? That's an interesting choice. He chooses just to continue his monastery, doesn't bother about saving his meeple over here, and I kind of agree with him. Doesn't bother about blocking the yellow meeple either. So he could have done something like this, but I also think that just getting points, preparing another monastery spot, that is quite important. So as yellow, I think it's a decent block. Oh, nice! Here comes the anticipation farmer, because now green is not able to do that thing that I was talking about. But here's the thing. As green Do you even need to finish that city? Actually, I don't really think you do, because check this out. So this meeple has 4 points, and this meeple has 3 points, so it's +1. If you finish the city, okay, you get like 6 more points for the city, but you also give 2 more opponents 2 more points for the road, so it's +4. But you also give your opponent 3 points for the field, so it's like +1. So this move just gave green 1 point, and I think maybe there are better things that he could have done. Like, this is all... Yeah, I really think he didn't really have to finish the city. I think it was in green's interest to just keep this stuff here indefinitely. He could have, I don't know, connected to yellow over here, just finish his own city up top. But maybe he decided that giving his opponent 3 points for the field is not such a big deal, because presumably later he's going to fight for this field. But now his field fighting prospects are not great because he's a meeple down. The Portuguese player has just managed to not only finish a 4-point road, but also block this green city meeple permanently, and this could give green some long-term problems. So I see that everybody in the chat is discussing the different screen names with the player 71. Well, yes, there's indeed the 71st from RCP. I don't think they are related by any... Well, there's also 72 tiles, but I think that's one of the Polish second accounts. I think this is actually... what was his name? Wasn't that Tomasz Preuss's second account or third account? He has like 5 of those. Well, anyway, it does seem like maybe green doesn't care so much about having his meeple trap because he has lots of points. He just finished an 8-point city. He's about to finish a monastery. And, well, I would say the situation has now roughly equalized because of this trap meeple and because of red's yellow's plan to finish the city. Well, Carl doesn't seem to be able to draw a tile that attacks the city, either blocks or connects to it. And there are indeed not so many such tiles. I guess you could like take a quadruple city or something and then hinder the development of the city, or you need a starting tile to connect to it yourself. Now green, I think, makes a misstep, and quite a heavy one. It's a natural move. It's sort of hoping to save your monastery, but here's the thing. That monastery meeple doesn't matter. Well, because he's starting a new city, but he's making himself vulnerable to a block. If yellow gets any triangle, he puts it over here, and then this meeple is deceased. Also, it's quite possible to still kill this monastery meeple, and if you don't, well, congratulations, you just put another city cap in your opponent's field. So I think a much better move was just simply finishing your city and starting a new one. I mean, the green still has 3 meeples. Well, he had 4 meeples before this move, and like, I don't think green should really be getting too precious about his meeples. He just should be thinking points. Okay. It's a decent move. I like it. The reason why I reacted the way I did, I thought that he was about not to meeple the monastery and take 2 points, which would have been way too shy. But on the other hand, maybe taking the monastery like 1 step on the left is safer, because your opponent who has a meeple surplus can actually equalize this monastery really easily by placing it yourself. And you know, if we put it like this, then we take a curve and we take a straight line, and actually with just 1 meeple we end up getting not 9 but 12 points because of this extra 3-point road. So I think it was a little bit more precise to put the monastery that way, but it doesn't matter that much because green is still ahead. They're equal on the scoreboard, but look at these lucrative monasteries. Carl here, managing to protect himself from the block on the left. Of course, there's another blocking opportunity that ensues, but he's actually probably okay with it. I think as 71 Knives, you just say goodbye to this meeple and finish a monastery and, I don't know, wait to see another day. Because let's say if green puts this tile over here, that's the dilemma, right? He gets 4 points for the city, and then he gets 9 points for the monastery, and he gets a meeple back, but this square becomes super vulnerable because there's only one tile left to fit there. He says, goodbye, meeple. We don't need you. And just gets his other meeple out, scores some points along the way, and he could still fight for this field if he wants to. I mean, I probably would delay it until the very last moment. Yellow here finding a very nice road. Now, green, I think, has to go over here and creates a coin flip situation next to his monastery. That's what I was talking about. It's, let's say, if yellow draws the monastery, then he'll be able to just negate all the green's efforts. On the other hand, if green draws a monastery, that's 18 points on the scoreboard, meeple back, and just an outright victory. I'm kind of running out of hot beverages already. The game is that intense. Actually, I do have another cup next to me, so I think I should be fine. So Carl here probably debating between several moves. One is, I think the one that he should just actually play. Oh, he goes for the field. Decides to do it quite early. And Glovier here tries to combat his city, not let him finish. By the way, if 75 knives, why do I keep calling him 75 knives? Because I respect him so much. You know, he's a national champion. That's why I want to upgrade him. Give him 4 more knives. So I'm just gonna keep it call him. I could just call him 71. The Portuguese player gets a triple city. What did you do with it? Probably not the best tile to start a new city. On the other hand, if you're feeling adventurous, you could actually go over here, hope for a bunch of triangles. Very low probabilities, but excellent content. On the other hand, if you started the block, I guess you could finish it. You could like go over here and make sure that green really never finishes his city. Or you could go over here just to simply, yeah, complete this block. Because it was only 50-50, right? So, as green, you don't really draw a defense. You don't have much to do with this tile. And then here you have to make a strategic decision, actually. Will you be trying to finish the city, or are you going to convert it into a ruin that gives you points? And I think the play here is actually the sneaky move. This tile over here. Because then, yeah, you could do that. But I think the other move was slightly better. I mean, it's fine. It still has the same purpose. That it could be a ruin, but then at the last moment, city cap, triangle, city cap. If a good sequence of tiles is drawn, then green can finish the city quite rapidly. Now another strategic decision for green. So I see several good moves. One is just taking 3 points, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Another move is going YOLO and fighting for this field and dropping a farmer, which I don't think works strategically because eventually yellow just has more firepower, right? You have to remember about this blocked meeple for 1 point, which is never coming back. So he instead decides not to do that and start a blocking attack on the city, which seems quite wise because many of city caps with the road have been out. And now another decision for Glovier here. I think because he has the meeples, he can totally go fight for the field. Or another, well, there were some other alternatives, but he goes for the field fight, and he also hopes for extra value, because check this out. There's this tile, and there's this tile, and there are 2 more tiles like this. And if red manages to draw one of those tiles, which is of course quite likely, 75% at least, he goes over here. And not only does he bring this farmer into the field, he also scores 4 points for this road. So it's always great when you can set up a field connection with extra value. In the meantime, 71 is struggling here to finish his monasteries, but he's kind of building around slowly. This city up top is worth now 6 points, and he'll probably will be worth more points, and eventually it could get finished. Why don't we try that right now? Why don't we just like go over here and threaten this meeple, and at the same time bring our city closer to completion? I think this is one of the possible Green's win conditions, because Green did relinquish some of his advantage, part as a result of efficient play by Yellow, and part of maybe missing on some opportunities of efficient play themselves. Of course, I must have said red, but interestingly, it's always when I confuse colors, when it's always the same pair, I say red instead of yellow, and I say blue instead of green. So I think that way you should be able to understand me. So Guillermo here, that's Glavier, draws the tile that 71 Knives would have loved to draw here to block this city. But instead, he draws a triangle. And now, as Guillermo is trying to get into this big ruin, Carl here can do something about this. One is to attempt to block. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triple cities. So let's say if Green puts these tiles over here and turns it that way, there will be only 2 tiles remaining that fit into that square. On the other hand, if he goes over here and puts this tile that way, there will be, let's count the triangles with the road. 1, 2, 3. So there will be 2 triangles with the road that Yellow could use to complete the connection, plus 1 triple city with the road, because a 1, a 2, the third one is missing. So if you want to start a blocking attack, then probably it's better for you to do something like this. Oh, I found a stronger move. Check this out. We go over here, we protect our meeple, and we drop a farmer, so that when we finish our city, if we get the tile, and I think there's still 1 remaining, yes, I just... Oh, never mind, it's dead, it's dead. It's dead, the city's dead, it doesn't work. I mean, the farmer still works. Interestingly how we both miscounted, but I have an excuse because I am commentator, and 71 Knives here had multiple minutes on the clock. Yeah, because I thought the city was still live, but actually... 1, 2, 3. So all the right-handed daggers that fit into this hole were out. Otherwise, this move would have been so neat, especially with a farmer. So yeah, that seems like a bit of a wasted opportunity over here. And the thing that I was telling you before exactly happened. So all this effort has been negated by Yellow. Yellow just managed to place a monastery over here, and suddenly, I kind of prefer Yellow in this position as opposed to Green, because Yellow just got his meeple back. He could consider another farmer, actually. I don't hate it. 18 tiles remaining. I think we could totally do it. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Alrighty, we have our first decisive result in favor of Team Belgium. So the Nicholas Victor, the player was queen named Gina, wins against last year's world number 4, Nuno Rabassa. And Belgium is on the scoreboard. I'm also wondering, like, how motivated exactly is Portugal in this game? Like, they already have 4 victories out of 4. Like, maybe they just care a little bit less. But we'll see. I assume everybody wants to win. The thing that I told was going to happen happens. So 4 points plus field connection, 12-point field. So lucrative, so lucrative. Somehow, of course, Green just has the meeple advantage, but will he be able to utilize it? By the way, had he dropped the farmer over here, he would have been able to complete the field connection twice. So maybe that was a bit of a missed opportunity, because like eventually you're going to need to fight for the field, and there's not going to be a safer spot like this, right? safer spot more than this. Because, like, where else do you go? Okay, I guess you could drop it here and then try to connect through a triangle with the road. But that stuff will be blockable later on. Actually, I think you probably should still do it. Yeah, just go here, like, drop a farmer. We need to start fighting here, because, like, the players are equal on the scoreboard, but yellow has this field and this field. So yellow has 18 field points, whereas to compensate for that, green has, like, 4 city points. Okay, there's this ruin as well, which is nice, but there's a high chance this will end up being shared by yellow. So it does seem that the Portuguese youngster is making a comeback here. Okay, so he does indeed go for the field connection. Maybe thinks that the city is live, but this is not a blunder because he can still connect through here. Interesting. Guillermo chooses to connect to the city instead of scoring 4 points. I guess this is true that this move gives you a greater net point difference, right? But maybe the way to go was to first score 4 points and then connect later. But I think it works. Farmer? Actually, why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No farmer. Well, there's a monastery with a road, actually. So we could sort of drop a farmer for insurance. That's something that he's considering. And we could, like, then take a straight line. And then either hope for the monastery with the road, or, you know, just be safe in the knowledge that we have this 50%er for the win. Now it's getting real close, but yellow will get a meeple back, and that will put him at a commanding lead, which makes me think that the path towards victory for green lies in somehow. The problem is he has only 1 meeple left. So I don't know, he could just YOLO it right now and drop a farmer, but then he probably doesn't win even if he connects. Meaning yellow will be able to just usurp his meeple majority. Another option is to go over here and simply drop a city cap on the field, just gamble, raise the stakes, make sure that somebody gets 4 points for the city like this, and then later on, as green, we drop the farmer and connect through a regular monastery, for example. That's also doable. Oh, so he goes for the full desperation mode. Let's see if that's going to be enough. There is 1 monastery remaining that fits into the square, so that's good for him. But the question is, will that be enough? Because yellow can just start all kinds of counterplay. So he created an open city cap. He also created a field reconnection option if he has to use it. So maybe as green would go over here, he instead restricts this field. And here's what's going to happen. Yellow can just go points. So, 71 knives. You have some interesting choices over here. You could either clean off the city cap, but in order to do that, you sort of need to calculate the city cap. That's one of them. Another option, you can just go like this and prevent a potential field connection. But here's the thing. Yellow maybe doesn't even need the field connection. Yellow still creates a field connection opportunity. So as 71 knives, we always go over here just to eliminate that field connection opportunity. Of course, like count the tiles and stuff like this and yada yada yada. But he still does this. Yellow can probably just meeple a road or something. Because again, he's at +7. Okay, he's -4 for the cities, he's at +3. He's at +6 for this, so he has a +9. Assuming that he loses the coin flip and green draws this, well, green will have 15 points more, so he'll be only at -6. And the fact of the matter is that yellow only needs to score 6 points with 2 meeples to tie this game. So all he needs to do really is just like meeple a road and then meeple a monastery, and and this is exactly what he decided to do. Well, Carl here got a tile that he can't really use. He can probably eliminate some sort of field connection. Yeah, or do like this. And now check this out. Oh, they're going to be... So there's so many winning moves, but my favorite one is to go over here and to meeple the road for insurance, saying that, you know, 71, if you get the monastery, you're forced to give me a meeple back. That's sort of the flashiest way to win, right? Because first of all, like if you go here, you already have +2 if your opponent connects to the field, I think. But like even if you don't, just like these insurance roads are so unpleasant. Speaking of flashy moves, you may have noticed that this week's Move of the Week segment hasn't come out. It's because I have a couple of moves in mind, but I would still really need your suggestions. Like, I've reviewed dozens of games, and there are some decent moves, but, you know, not quite as flashy as in the first 2 weeks. So do let me know if I missed something. Okay, well, this was a boring ending, I think, so Glovier did win the coin flip. He can actually, okay, do this. Go flex. You can put it over here and just meeple the... Go over here and meeple the road. Just show that you've calculated everything to do... As we know, Portuguese players like to inflict emotional damage, as we saw that in your last play's emotional game, in last Portuguese game. So Glovier here is saying GG, both players are saying GG. GG is code for, man, I wish I got that monastery, but it does seem that despite a very inconvenient opening, Yellow got this under control and eventually managed to outplay his opponent. So we're going to congratulate the Portuguese player here, and I am open to suggestions as to which duel you want to watch next. Oh, that's interesting. Like the chat suddenly, like 10 messages appeared. I wonder why that is. Oh, so we say that there's a win from Anthology, but then Ricardo Rouge won against Obi Wonder. So I'm just try to update everything. So Glovier won, Sporter won, and then Anthology won. How's Picudo doing? Maybe I missed that. You need to tell me. Yeah, as you see, +20, so the 15-point field would not have mattered. Well, actually, since I've already opened all those tabs, just to save the extra few seconds. So, how are we doing here? Started 30 minutes ago, so we'll be witnessing the last couple of tiles from the young Miguel Costa. Well, he's up on the scoreboard again against his slightly higher rated Belgian opponent. And how we're doing for fields? Well, there's one. There's two. Oh, there's 3 meeples on the fields. I don't see quite as many meeples from the Belgian player. Well, there's this guy that was trying to sneak in, but unsuccessfully it seems. And does this mean that blue has it again? Probably. Yeah, so they were flipping actually for this tile. Red really needed it. And what would have happened is that yellow is not playing this game, but red would have scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 points extra, but 1 point less because of a shorter road. So it's a 14-point difference. Oh, and then of course, blue would have scored less. Blue would have scored 5 instead of 6. So it's actually a 15-point difference. So let's see if the last coin flip actually mattered and if that was the thing that decided the game. I don't think it was actually. Because look at these tiny fields. That's what make the difference. So the Portuguese young talent didn't even need to win this coin flip. The coin flip was just the icing on the cake. So going to congratulate him on yet another game won, as in WON. Scoreboard. Yes. And well, Belgium will need to make some comebacks. Certainly, it's interesting that was quite an upset of Anthony winning versus João, because I've marked him as red as the highest rated player amongst all the players today. So we're gonna have a look at how he's doing, or you know, if you want to suggest, yeah, you're suggesting João. Juliana Apostate is asking, is it true the 9-year-old thing, or was it just for content? No, he's actually 9 years old, and he won 3 of his duels at the World Championship. And his father also plays in Board Game Arena. Comparisons to Laszlo Polgar may be appropriate. But we will be focusing on this match, where sort of the Belgian, well, slight underdog rating-wise, will be looking forward to secure his second win against the Portuguese captain. Also, not only the highest player on the Portuguese lineup today, but also the most recent master. Got his title like a couple of weeks ago, maybe just 1 week ago, like very, very recently. And one thing that he doesn't have going for him is this blocked meeple. It's this rather restricted field, which could grow, but you know. So this farmer is still a little bit sad right now. Road, and this farmer's boxed in. So that's certainly something that's quite doable, given the large number of roads remaining and the fact that these moves are multi-purpose moves. So let's say, as red, we draw a road, we go over here, restrict the field, and hurt the city. We place this road to harass this to attack this road and block the field, and we place this road to block the field and add 1 monastery point. So in fact, the road tile, the simple straight line, is probably the best tile in the deck that red must be hoping for. And if they are not hoping for it, they should. On the other hand, what we have in this position, red has another really restricted farmer. Like, how is that coming out? Well, he could draw like a divider and stuff, or he could draw a curve like this and then a divider, and he could start to build around. But it's quite an effort. So certainly, there's it's always like you need. It's a difficult judgment call whether to drop an early farmer or not, because if it's successful, you gain a valuable tempo. And if it's not successful, you drop the farmer first, and then you need to play like awkward moves in order to justify the farmer and grow the field. Whereas an alternative is, you know, to just not drop it. But actually, this farmer is fine because it perfectly equalizes this blocked city by green. Green, in the meantime, got a real nice sequence of tiles and managed to stop the plan that I was describing. He got a monastery, which at the same time protected this road over here, and he got a curve with a city cap, opening so many more green squares in the field, which means that, well, blocking it is now useless. Of course, the Belgian player is going to try and do this, but I'm not sure about this move over here. I think we shouldn't have been that impatient. Because when you're behind, probably the 3 points are just much more valuable. And also, the 3 points, they would have come with a field restriction anyway if it pointed upwards. And then we can take a simple curve or a straight line and then continue our block. There's also another downside to this move, is like there's no 2 city caps with the crossroads remaining. So if let's say green draws one of them, we've just given green 2 points of extra value. So that's a 5-point sacrifice right over here, 3 points from here, and 2 points from here. Crafteraf is saying Anthony likes to meeple early fields, but that doesn't always work out that well. Well, tell me about it. So, this farmer certainly doesn't look like it's the happiest farmer. As red, you have multiple options, but I feel like, you know, if you started the block, I guess you just gotta continue the block, right? Right? Also, a bit of an unfortunate sequencing here, because had he started the block from the other side, then he could have already completed the block in full. Because there's a bit of asymmetry, the way the tiles are distributed. Look at like this dagger, this dagger, this dagger. There are no left-handed daggers out, but there's one right-handed dagger out. Now this move, if I have to be completely honest, then it's just losing in the long term. Because it gives your opponent a ring road, and it makes your monastery vulnerable. So there are now many scenarios how red gets his own meeple trapped, and these two meeples are free men. In the meantime, remember how we're talking about straight line and field restriction? Look at this move from João. What a beauty. Like, it's such a painful move. With the simple straight lines, he boxes in this red farmer forever. And I think, like, psychologically this might not see a big deal, because people generally, players don't perceive blocked farmers as blocked meeples. But it's the same as having your meeple block, like it's 6 points over here. Red, quite fortunately, gets a road with which he is able to continue his block, but there are still 3 tiles that fit here. Green, of course, doesn't draw a defense, but he can still do that on the next move. Well, we'll see what happens. So as green, yeah, you actually you're starting to have some difficulties here. I guess you just go here and start your new city with the last meeple. I can't really suggest anything better. There's still many city caps remaining. We have use for row tiles over here. We don't want to be leaving an empty city cap, I guess. However, we could just drop the divider over here and then meeple this city cap if we have to, because there's still 2 city caps with a crossroads. Surprisingly, not an easy tile to play for João. Maybe he could also go here and just dump the tile, but with such a juicy divider, I mean, surely you want to find something more lucrative. So, Anthology now has an interesting decision. In the meantime, João does listen to me, which is nice. And I was about to say, so you do complete the block, but you add another city cap in the opponent's field, and you also make your own meeple more vulnerable. However, I guess when your opponent has 0 meeples, it's not a bad move that makes your opponent keep having 0 meeples. So I rather like it. However, now what the Portuguese player is gonna do, he's probably gonna go over here, just trying to eat up as many empty pieces as he can with his ruin. Or he could go over here, simply build up his city like this, but the downside of that, as soon as you place a tile over here, you make this meeple vulnerable, straight line goes over here, and with an unlucky run out, the green meeple doesn't see the light of day. Elias is saying, referring to this city cap, that green can't capitalize on the cap without giving a meeple to red. This is not true, because he can just simply draw a dagger. He can draw a dagger and then like block this meeple later. Ah, so that's interesting. So green decided to just build his ruin downwards, and by the way, this ruin is already 1 tile away from just outscoring this farmer. Anthony, in the meantime, added 1 point to his monastery, but I really don't like this move. I think it was better to turn this curve the other way and simply because like the monastery is already blocked. You don't need it anything, and it's worth sacrificing this point just to restrict the field because the field is still kind of closed. Also, like this move opens up the field even further, creates a monastery spot. Like if you're Joao, you really you could start thinking about just meepling this last monastery. He's not going to do it, I can guarantee you that. But it's worth considering, because, you know, you actually don't lose value from that many tiles, because you still have actionable moves. Like, you have city tiles that go here, you have road tile here, or road tile here that can do protection. This actually is, like, technically unblockable anyway. I've recently watched a game by a 800 rated player, a new board game arena player. I don't know if that's a new player or a second account. I think that's actually a new person with a screen name Rook. Some of you might have seen his games. He has an Argentinian flag, but like we don't know where he's actually from. Do let me know if you actually know. But like he spends his last meeple all the time in even more outrageous than the greediest players on board game arena. He spends his last meeple more often than I do, more often than Michael Rus, more often than Mujacello, more often than Melvin Quaresma, like you name it. And the Portuguese captain follows his footsteps for the content. I like that. Okay, confess in the chat, how many of you would have actually meepled this? Speaking of the chat, thanks Crafty for giving us the, I guess, pleasant news for Team Belgium that Nicholas Victor with the screen name Gina has just won his duel 2-0, and Belgium is now on the scoreboard in the entire match. The disappointing part of that is that they finished their duel before we actually got to watch them. So I don't know, was a move of the week played there or not? We shall see. So Anthology spending a lot of tiles on blocking, and like this is not really a block. It's actually kind of helps his opponent. There are tons of tiles. I can see at least 4 that fit here. Well, exactly 4. So, like, it's great having a meeple advantage, but I don't think Red realizes quite how far behind they are on the scoreboard. No, I mean, on the scoreboard it's only -8, but extra monastery, extra road, extra city. Like, you gotta start making up for this at some point. Oh, interesting. So Joao doesn't continue his monastery. He instead goes over here, simply adds 3 points to his field. But will that be enough? We'll find out. But then I'm wondering, like, if you don't put this over here, how exact... Meeple? Oh! Oh, that's a nice move. Oh, that's a nice move here by the player with the red meeple. So it accomplishes several objectives. First of all, it basically equalizes this road. Second, it actually restricts this square. So there are fewer tiles that left to fit here. There are now only 2 tiles that left to fit here. And this means that the tile that fits into this square will be drawn later. Moreover, 2 meeples, 2 green meeples are tangled up versus this red meeple. So it in fact will have to be green who places this tile over here. Even though green really is not a fan of sharing this road, because this segment is 5 points, and red segment is only 3 points. But you gotta have the meeples back. In the meantime, we get some good news for Portugal. That another duel ends at 2-0. Unfortunately, before we got to them, it would have certainly been interesting. Because I've noticed that like Obi Wonder is now pretty high rated, but he lost to Ricardo Araújo, the 2020 Mind Sports Olympiad champion. Okay, so now the Belgian player with the red meeple is now catching up on those points. Equalizing this meeple, then going over here. Certainly works out quite well for him. And, well, the position's now like not that easy for green. I guess you have to go, like, you have to do something with your monasteries at some point, because that's where you get your meeples back, really. Okay, he chose not to do this with this tile, but maybe like this tile with a city cap outwards, or with a city cap up. That's a difficult decision right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what those numbers meant? I was counting curves, which were on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I was checking if the block over here works. It didn't quite work, because there's still 2 tiles remaining. That's 2 curves plus 1 road monastery. So instead, he tries to block it with straight lines. And now, as Anthology probably... yeah, makes sense, meepling a city cap. There were some merits of meepling like the other city cap, I guess, but it doesn't matter. Green will now... oh, no, actually Green will not finish his monastery. I think Green will go over here. Or maybe Green will finish his monastery, I don't know. Maybe like the ideal tile for us as Green is we finish the monastery here, and then we take a triple city tile to continue the city without increasing attacking spots, and also to preserve the outs for completing it with a triangle, right? Because now I guess in order to complete this city, which seems like a good objective, we would need city cap, city cap, city cap. That's a lot of city cap, plus Anthony can like block it severely. Yeah, exactly. And now it's not growing anymore. So maybe just getting the meeple out was the play. Because the thing, like, it's not actually so bad to leave such an empty city lying around. You're only... like, in the worst case scenario, you're giving your opponent a 55% chance of scoring this city first. But if your opponent does take the 8 points, you get 3 points as farmer for the farmer as compensation, plus Red's meeple is in all likelihood blocked. So I think finishing your monastery is not such a bad idea. Now, there is one room move for Anthology, and this is exactly what he's going to play. He's going to start a new city, and he's threatening to finish the city cap and either drop a farmer or just simply block this square. This is so interesting how the situation suddenly turned so difficult for the Portuguese player despite such an advantage. I guess you could say, oh, you know, meepling this monastery was such a bad decision. No, it wasn't. I think it's completely all right. Maybe just like finishing it a little bit earlier. That's something that he could have done. Oh, check this out. So he's now going for... he just put the city cap over here, and now he has a 25% chance of finishing his city, if he actually gets the tile. He still has a tile that like goes over here, and he still has a tile that goes over here. These are incidentally the same tile, but there are still 2 of those in stock, so 25% is not nothing. Also, he can expand this ruin, so that works out nicely for him. But we're going to see from Anthology, I thought 3 points with a blocking attempt. I don't think we need the meeple. Okay, but that makes sense. And immediately, look at this. I like what Joao is doing. So he goes over here. He does not yet get a meeple back, because he just wants to secure the square first and simply go for the 50-50 chance of completing his city. I really like this play. You see, like, this city suddenly got sneakily pre-completed. And it's all because Red generously added this triangle in such a convenient place. This is also quite an instructive moment, right? Sometimes moves which look like they're hurting your opponent, they're actually helping your opponent. Well, this still doesn't change the fact that Green doesn't have any meeples. But he doesn't need meeples when he has points. Well, CraftRF is saying, this is exactly how I lost my last 3 games against Anthony. Every time I was like, this has to be a mistake by him. And still he won every time. I think it's actually very interesting, a psychological thing. Just because your opponent makes a mistake or a series of mistakes does not guarantee that they will continue making them throughout the game. They can make like one mistake, you get complacent, and then they just stop making mistakes, and you just lose because you're thinking, wait, that wasn't the deal. Like, why don't you keep playing badly? But you just don't. Sometimes that happens. Okay, well, things are still looking quite great for the Belgian player now, despite the opportunity of not red, not yellow, but green to complete the city. I think actually red can win in some of those scenarios. What about? I know we need to do urgently as red. Here, insurance farmer, 0-point farmer. We have to do it soon, very soon. I don't think it's worth adding 1 point over here, right? Because we're like 17 points up ahead on the scoreboard. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Imagine same position but with an insurance farmer over here, and now also worse, red has like a surplus of meeples. So there was one thing left to secure the game, and now suddenly the Portuguese player is doing great, 5 points ahead on the scoreboard, bigger field, and an extra monastery. And what red could have done over here is just simply had another meeple on the farm. So essentially what he did, he scored 1 point instead of 15. Some of you may think, like, but what's the point of dropping a 0 farmer? What if green doesn't complete his city? Well, then that's great. Then green doesn't complete his city. It's absolutely worth the 0 farmer insurance. So I think we may have seen the move, the critical move of the match. But it ain't over. Because let's say if red equalizes... Yeah, I just don't see it. It's not going to be enough. He'll probably going to need another city cap, which I don't even sure exists. Correct, which I'm sure that doesn't exist. So he won't be able to finish this city. Things are looking really, really rough for the Belgian player, and he probably will need some help from his opponent. But like, as the Portuguese player, what do you care? You can just score 7 points over here. Or maybe you have a flasher move in mind. So with these 7 points, it gives another field's connection to the Belgian player, but he can't take advantage of it, not with this tile. And you see, that's the problem having a surplus of meeples. Because he could have scored like 2 points for a road, but the extra meeple that he's getting back is not going to matter. Yep, I see some of you are also screaming insurance meeple in top field for Anthony, but just something to think in team practice. Or, you know, actually I recommend the video that you can watch. I mean, even though it's like not great production quality, not such a great sound, and that was in my early days of my channel, I was like a bit stumbling upon words, even more so than I do so now. But the video is called... Oh yeah, that's the analysis of my gold medal game from the 2021 Mind Sports Olympiad. I think here the concept of such insurance meeples can be illustrated very clearly. Oh, you can actually bring your win probability from 50% to 100%. Yeah, you see, so now he's forced to do stuff like this. Schwau is now going to... I don't know, he needs to count tiles, but I think maybe the play is to drop the farmer over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I know there are no curved remaining, so it doesn't matter. So I guess he might just go over here, like meeple a field or something. There are no daggers. No, you just meeple this 4-point road, and you're happy because you have more points than your opponent. We have more good news for Portugal, not so good for Team Belgium, and not so great news for the content. Because Guilherme Neves just successfully dodged all the 71 of Carl's knives and won the duel. Oh, look at this flashy finish. 4-point move, and then another 4-point move. Combo sequence. Okay, so now we know that in this game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So had red dropped the insurance meeple, they would have had 14 more points. It's too long to explain, but this is exactly what would have happened. And we see that the difference is 15 points. Okay, so I guess they can have like a little bit of a sigh of relief. Because they would have lost anyway by 1 point, probably. By 2 points, actually, if I'm completely honest. But well, certainly the insurance people would have kept the winning chances alive for them. No, actually, never mind. That was still... Yeah, there were still many, many interesting things that could have happened. Interesting game. Do let me know what else, what other thoughts you have. Oh, hi, Glovier. Congratulations on the win. Meeple the like button if you are rooting for Team Portugal, or if you're rooting for Team Belgium, a commiseration meeple of the like button will be appreciated. But now we have to watch another duel. So we haven't yet watched... I guess we have to go to Bikudo. Because the hopes of Belgium are still alive, I think. Unless I missed something, it's quite possible. They're just finishing their game as well, again. Oh, they're not finishing, and it's actually a middle game, and anything can happen. So we get, finally, a close matchup. Let me just update the score in favor of João. And we're going to try to make sense of this position. At first sight, the Belgian player here is doing great. Because even on the scoreboard, extra meeple and ruin. Look at this lucrative ruin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 19 points, I think. By the way, do let me know how you count cities. I have like a city counting technique where I first count all the shielded tiles as 2s, and then I count all the shielded and all the non-shielded tiles. I kind of go. And that's how I missed 1 point. Well, just because I counted this divider twice. Yeah, but do let me know if you have any hacks for counting points in big features in big cities. Well, anyway, that was a distraction. And Red has a monastery, 8-point monasteries. So what are some reasons why Red is not doing great? I can tell you some. The blocked meeple for 1 point. Not great. And the fact that Blue has huge road, another huge road. This road is still alive if he wants to get a meeple back. And also, Blue is controlling a 12-point field. But he's doing so with a super majority of 2 meeples. So it does seem like it's a nice imbalance in this game. So 18-point ruin versus a 12-point field, which will eventually grow to be an 18-point field. So the game is closer than we thought. Red is now trying to connect to Blue's road. Ain't gonna work out this move. But it's a fantastic tile for Red because Red scores 8 points for the city. And wins this huge coin flip. I don't know how exactly like this juicy piece appeared. But well, we might need to trace it back to some opening moves eventually. Good time management, by the way. So spent some. Of course, it's an obvious move, but he spent some 20 points, 20 seconds on like tile counting, tile tracking, and of course, one more reason why blue has to be happy with this position is because he just finished a huge city, a medium-sized city for 18 points. As I said, the field is now 18 points. The ruin's now 18 points. They're equal, completely equal. And now that I look at this, red is very close to being toast. Because these roads are just massive. So, okay, so there's this like 6-point segment versus an 8-point. So it's like -2, it's already -3. It's going to be -3 for a red, even if he connects over here. And it's not a given, because like where all the curves, the square is super vulnerable. So if he fails to connect to this road, I think is really just almost game over for the Belgian. Then he would have to hustle really hard. Okay. A premature 6-point field, if you ask me. Because as the Belgian player, you need all the firepower in the world, and you know why? Because if you fail to connect to this road, then your win condition changes from trying to outrun your opponent to actually being forced to fight for this field and bring 2 meeples in. And the way you do that is you get a straight line, drop a farmer here, another straight line, drop a farmer here, and bring 2 meeples with a monastery. Like, red doesn't have to do that yet, but if he doesn't connect to the road, that's gonna be it. So, okay, so red could do a bunch of things. Red, I guess, could, like, I don't know, take 3 points. Well, not these 3 points, these 3 points. It's actually in the interest of red to leave empty city caps lying around because he needs some more variance because he's behind. And he's like, he's leaving a curve anyway to his opponent. While he gets super fortunate in the sense that he's able to connect. Of course, forced to leave a city cap in his field, but I guess you do what you have to do. Ah, interesting. So about points counting, Elias is saying that you go tile by tile, but you add the shield as an extra tile. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Wait! How did we miss this? Okay, so yeah. Okay, this now makes sense because now that I've used your method, I actually got the points right. I made a mistake twice, so I should think of switching. The city only grew by 1 point. Okay, well. So 16 points here. 14. Yeah, it just seems to me that this is not the tile that red wanted. Red wanted to draw the monastery, but like much later. But still, if you are to win, maybe your win condition is like, okay, yeah, that is possible. Not sure that's going to be enough, but that's possible. Yeah, because I figured maybe he just needed some sort of farmer. Because like, imagine if this meeple is not here. Maybe like you can go over here, meeple the field, and connect through a regular monastery, then connect through here. Still requires a lot of tiles, but you gotta try something. I just can't see red winning this. Let me think about this again, though. Okay, so it's like 12, 4, 20, -1. Yeah, so currently I think blue is at +5, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I appreciate if you do. Instead of the 5-point road, Elias was suggesting a third farmer. Then actually I think blue could lose if red were to draw a bunch of monasteries. So I'm not sure about that. Certainly would have been flashy. Speaking of flashy, I really need your move of the week recommendations. I've looked through so many games. I mean, I will post a video this week about week 3. But, like, they're good, they're interesting. But not as interesting as week 3. In general, I also... no, as week 2. In general, like, I also felt that a lot of games in week 3 were, like, lower quality than usual. Well, anyway. Red gets some hope, scores 3 points. And will be able to, I don't know, gain some 4 monastery points or whatever. So the Portuguese player scores 4 points for the road, and the Belgian gets even more quick points, which he should be happy with. Like, there's nothing better than just scoring 3 points over here. There just isn't. I guess you could also go over here for 5 points, but that shouldn't be enough, I think. Because you go here, and then you do a 4-point monastery, that's 7. So it's going to bring it close-ish. But not quite enough, I think. A Limbo Man is saying the colors of the names are changing often. Yes, because we every time have a different team. And also we're kind of slightly tweaking the color system. So at the moment, like, red is the highest rated player amongst both teams. And yeah, in this case, it's like 600. And the other ones are all in the 500 plus category. So it does seem that the Belgian player maybe could have gotten like 5 more points had he played a little bit more precisely at the end, and had he actually managed to draw the monastery himself. Still not, I don't think that would have been enough, but let's see. Huh. Turns out that would have been just enough for a draw. But let's not overanalyze it. Let's just congratulate the Portuguese player on winning his 4th match. As is on 4 out of 4. That's actually kind of incredible. And quite convincingly so. But anyway, before we move on to the next thing, I want to like really just double check. So what happens? Let's say if he on his last, so he scored 6, so he could have scored 1 more by going here and here, so he would have scored 7. And then let's say if blue draws this tile, blue would have scored, blue would have scored 3 instead of 5. Okay, so the best case scenario for red, had they played like my suggestion and had they gotten the tiles, well, they would still be losing by -2. So yeah, nice control of the game, building a big field with 2 farmers, which ended up outscoring the Ruin. And look at this. This is exactly the point difference. The Ruin was 16 points, and the field was 21 points. Imbalance slightly favors the field. And that's how blue won the game. So congratulations to Miguel and Team Portugal for winning this match. But we still have some games to follow. We specifically have one game to follow. This is the decider. Between the captain of Team Portugal and Anthony. I see already our viewers are discussing the tournament table. Is Portugal mathematically in? I think so. In some groups, 5 wins might not be enough. But in this group, I think 5 wins should be enough. Because they also have enormous tiebreakers. You remember the emotional damage game against the United States? Here it's like not going to happen like this, but we're kind of getting close to that, because in this game the Portuguese player also has an advantage, if you ask me. Both players are equal on the scoreboard, but red has a meeple that is almost blocked. Red has another meeple which is certainly blocked, and green makes a very wise move, I think. They add 3 points to their opponent and spend a valuable shielded tile, but they do just to make sure that red doesn't draw a divider that frees their meeple. And the things like in a close position like this, I mean, a 2-to-1 meeple advantage is huge. I think it's quite hard for them to win this game, but it can actually happen. So I've seen an incredible win with meeple disadvantage by the play with queen named KAR, my teammate, against the Taiwanese master Tomato Ken. He got his meeple blocked early on, and he was let 1 versus 2 very often, but he managed to find some quick point opportunities like monasteries and stuff, and then equalized the field with his last meeple and won the game +2. That was actually really spectacular. Yeah, you should go watch that game. Oh, that's so interesting. Look at this. Because now, as red is forced to play the rest of the game with 1 meeple, he's actually trying to get creative. He used the monastery tile as a road tile, trying to shade this big road, but it ain't gonna work out because João immediately draws a crossroads to separate. It's a question if actually he should have done that. Because I definitely see value in just keeping red without meeples for multiple turns. But if red were to draw a curve very soon, well then I guess as green we gotta preserve the points. Here's another interesting thing about playing with a meeple disadvantage. Because red will be struggling for productive moves, he'll be also blocking green a lot. So in fact, there's a high chance how this meeple doesn't survive. Like 1 road tile and it's already reduced to 50-50. Dagger here, which means that not many dagger tiles remaining. Specifically 1 dagger tile that fits over here. As Anthology, I think you have your chance here. I mean, of course, you can take 4 points, but I think this is quite nice. Of course, it's a real gamble because there's still 1 tile that fits over here. But as red, you kind of have to take your chances. And also, as red, I guess you'll put a road tile over here. And then you make it so that you'll make a Sophie's Choice block. Know your terminology. that green will need his tile here and here. This beautiful dagger tile. And now suddenly it feels, you know, like when you go from 1 meeple to 2 meeples, just suddenly such a big relief. Now it feels like, okay, now I'm going to do all kinds of stuff. Farmer? Yeah, farmer, why not? Let's go. Go, 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 go. Let's start harvesting those, I don't know what they would plant around the medieval city of Carcassonne. Cabbages. It kind of sounds uninspiring. Interesting. So João is adamant about protecting his city. Doesn't go for quick points. Just start a new city. On the other hand, it's a sneaky idea, because you know what? There's a scenario how a triangle of the road goes here, a triangle goes here, an extender goes here, and this guy takes over the city. I refer all of you to my painful game against Ralph Querfoot, the play with screen name Navarra79 in the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship 2021. Sort of where this pattern of city takeover happens. Kind of a nice find by my opponent and a nice find by João. But he doesn't really need the city takeover. He just needs his opponent not to meeple the city cap, and unfortunately, for red, green manages to complete both cities and drop a farmer as well. So I guess as red, I don't even know what you do. I think as red, you actually start blocking this connection point, because like you need to gain some sort of advantage here. And I think one is getting the advantage on the farms. You don't connect just yet, because like if your opponent connects, then the connection here will be useless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 curves remaining. Yeah, he goes for the block. And the idea here, look at the crossroads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only one piece of crossroads remaining. So if he just sticks in a straight line, of which there are many remaining, if by many you mean 3, then this square will be like super vulnerable. So as well, do we just take 4 points here, which are actually 3 points? Yeah, I like that move because it also like creates a field reconnection opportunity. You can also take 4 points here. I don't think you bother about saving this connection too much, because you can always like reconnect from other sides. You're up 1 meeple anyway. There are also some scenarios how as green you can just score a bunch of quick points and win without the field. Although it does seem that we're quite far from that, given how rapidly this field is growing. So as Anthology, you're super happy to see the Portuguese players move right here, because you just snapped the city cap. Like, you had a city cap where you had 0 productive moves, and your opponent just gave you one. Of course, you should spend like time on tile counting, tile tracking, whatever, but eventually he's gonna go here. And it's too early to meeple that field, because if he puts his last meeple on the field, he loses. Because the field is probably not enough. He needs to catch up on the scoreboard first. Of course, it's painful. Yeah, like you need to take the 4 points, and as a result, it will create a field connection, because now green can use it from here. But you kind of have to gamble at this point. You have to get the points from somewhere. But maybe he has another idea. Let's see what he does. Limbo Man is asking, Alexey, do you speak Portuguese? Unfortunately, only very little. I've never studied Portuguese. I can understand quite a lot of Portuguese because I studied a little bit of Spanish, I speak French, and I speak Esperanto. And I'm also a linguist. So these 3 things kind of combine together and make it quite easy to understand, especially when it's written. And especially when it's Brazilian. I don't know why. I tried to watch like Brazilian streams, and I tried to watch Jogos do Mundo streams, and like Brazilian Portuguese is just so much easier to understand. I don't know why that is. But also Brazilian Portuguese sounds like kind of j, 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 j. All the sounds are j. So, interestingly, Red did go for the ultimate field fight. Red decided that he ain't gonna need nothing. Meeples are for cowards. He's just going to take over the field and win. The field is quite big. When he inevitably joins the field. Actually, not true. It's very much inevitably. Because Joao just drops a farmer here? And he doesn't do that? He doesn't meeple the field? He doesn't meeple the monastery? Why not just have some... The Portuguese player is seeing something that I don't. Let's put it at that. Okay, I understand that sort of this square is blocked, right? This field entry cannot happen. And so is this. But like, the 6-point field or the 6-point monastery are just good in and of itself. Because you need like these big points to outrun your opponent. Because what's going to happen instead is this like 6-point monastery, green is going to meeple like a 5-point road, and that will be 1 point less. And then with the other meeple, he's going to meeple like a 3-point field. So that's almost like like up top, something like this. I'm talking about the last move, what's going to happen. So it's almost like a sacrifice here. But let's see. Because I don't think as green we kind of care too much about that field, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just a second. Gonna double check what you guys are suggesting in the chat real quick. Okay, never mind. You're just studying this. Oh, you're just discussing languages. I'll get to that in a second. So Pablo Blanc is saying Brazilian Portuguese is closer to Spanish than the one from Portugal, unless I understand them better. I haven't. Interesting. I didn't know that. Well, anyway, let's see. So Joao plays a curve like this. Are there curves remaining? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's one curve, and one curve only, that can kind of save Red's bacon. But will it be enough? The field is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, presumably 8, let's say. 24. So Red with the field will be at +10 and -2 meeples. +11, +12, +16, +21. Huh. And +15. Huh. So it does actually seem that if Red connects to the field, I don't think Green can outrun him. You know why? Because like these blocked meeples, they are so deceptive, but they add a lot of points to Red's total. And also there's small things such as like this mini battle, 1 extra point, this mini battle, 1 extra monastery point in comparison to this monastery. So is this last farmer the move of the week? Maybe. Look at this. He also saving his connection. They're really flipping for that tile. And as Joao, we have to decide. How can you win this game? Joseph is asking, Alexey, is still China the team with the highest average ELO rating? Yes. Well, especially after their close win over Latvia. They did pick up a lot of rating after that. Yeah. And Japan is not the second highest rated, they're the third highest rated. Glovier is asking, there are some city caps remaining, so maybe a 6-point field isn't... Whoa, 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 whoa! Oh, okay, so we have a good old field hallucination here by Joao. Because obviously it doesn't work. Because there are no... That's kind of funny. It doesn't work because like there are no road monsters remaining, and even if you were to get a curve, he would connect into this 3-point field. So I know field hallucinations happen to everybody. Most of you have already seen my video which is called More Carcassonne Blitz, and if you haven't, you have to go watch it and watch game number 4. But it's still funny to watch when somebody else does this. Just beautiful. They still haven't drawn a curve, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's still one curve remaining. It all comes down to a curve. I should have put this up much earlier. I'll answer your questions in the chat a little bit later. It's 2/10 of the moment. Joseph is asking, do you calculate the averages every week? I don't do that. It's Carrie Alley from the US who does this. Elias is asking, what was the main hallucination? Did he think that there was a monastery with a road to connect like this? Or did he think that there was a curve to connect? Or did he think that this was the main field? Definitely the second one. He just like hallucinated that this was the main field. It is kind of late in Portugal. It is kind of late everywhere in Europe. 8, 7, don't lose on time. Don't rob us of the outcome. 4, 3, 2, 1. No, don't lose on time. But he just lost on time. So the Belgian player has to invite him to concede. Like, you have to take this victory here. It's a 50-50 for the game. And I think he wrote it in the chat, or did he? Well, it doesn't matter because he still won the coin flip, but... Okay, Joao is saying I'll concede now. So, we didn't get to see the ending, but we know for a fact, okay, that it was the last tile. Joao got the triple crossroads with the city cap. And Anthology here got a curve. Just to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it had to be a curve. So he was going here. And then I think red wins, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then 8 because of this advantage. Yeah, it's just too much. It's just too much. And he wins like +10 or something like this. So, what a move. What a move going for the field with the last meeple of like 15 tiles remaining. Beautiful. Of course, he'll be disappointed to find out that this upset didn't matter. Well, it did for the tiebreakers, but Belgium had to win this one if they wanted to advance, I think. Now, of course, every other game will manage for the standings of the championship. And we'll congratulate, first of all, Anthony for the upset, then Belgium for the respectable performance against Portugal because other teams did much, much worse. And we'll wish them good luck in the remaining tournaments. And now I'm gonna look at the chat. Hi, João. No sound? What are you talking about? Can you not hear me? Okay, never mind. I think it should be fine. Oh yes, the field in the top. Thank you. That was such a beautiful hallucination. Just to double check, I assume that you thought that like that the field would be bringing into the main field, right? That 3-point field at the top was the main field. Ah, okay. So here's the thing. Yeah. No sound was Joao. Right. I always keep the notification open. Like the board giving me a notification, the sounds that do give me this alert. So maybe that's what you're gonna do. Turn on that sound. Nico is saying going for a new 3-2 streak. Yeah, I guess you want to be on the receiving not on the receiving end of that. Let's see. Helg is asking, Alexey, did you study any Swedish while in Finland? Nei, men jeg lært meg norsk når jeg bodde i Norge. Og jeg tror da at det nok å forstå svensk. I said I sort of speak Norwegian, so it's kind of enough to understand Swedish. I've spoken to Swedish people and they were not able to tell that the language in which I was speaking to them was not Swedish, but rather Norwegian. And in fact, Swedish, Norwegian, okay, and to some extent Danish are like really similar. So I think, oh, please correct me if I'm wrong, like if they show a Norwegian movie on TV in Sweden, do they show the subtitles? Yeah, that's interesting. So like many players who ran out of time just like ran out of time by exactly 1 second. But the point is like, let's say if you notice that you have 5 seconds left, then that's it. Like your mouse will not make it fast enough across the screen to make this move, even if you're not nervous, and you're probably going to be nervous. Alrighty, I promised you a Fantasy Carcassonne update, I think. I'm going to remove the critical tile thing from the screen. Also, kudos for Joao for actually doing the fair play, well, observing the rules and conceding, because not everybody was conceding when losing on time in this tournament, which I think is not cool. There was one player who conceded only because the organizers happened to be spectating the game, and actually the organizers wrote in the chat, hey dude, you gotta concede. Alrighty. Scoreboard. Yeah, I think we have that settled. I'm gonna remove the critical tile, important though it may be. And we're going to do a Fantasy Carcassonne update. Of course, I just need to like move it a little bit. No, it's wrong. Yeah, no, it's wrong. Yeah, there we go. So we have a new leader after... Oh, I forgot to... Okay, never mind. I forgot to actually do the sorting. So I don't know who the new leader is myself. I will have to reshuffle. Because I did this just like a couple of days ago, but then I added some new results. So just you gotta bear with me. Oh, no. Whoops. Yeah, there we go. So, Kraftjuraf is still leading the game. Bogdan Kurkan is just nearby because he bet on his teammates, and we know Team Romania is doing just great. As you remember, Kraftjuraf bet on the players with the letter M, while the German Medusa Hope. The only one who lost was the Chinese player with a screen name Metalcat. But the other M's were doing just great. And then we have Bogdan Kurkan, ever. Matt Tucker. Obviously, I haven't updated this stuff just yet, but I'll do it a little bit later. And then I'm just going to scroll through, and then you can see your standings. Elias is saying about Raf's pick that you forgot to draft Manarori, and that's true, because he's actually one of the few players who won their first 4 matches. There are very few players who did that. We could just go through them. Never mind. No, it's an accident that I put the first place to everybody. Actually, I should even check that. Yeah. You can see that part of the screen. Okay, cool. Just scroll down so that you can see your position. Like lots of close stuff, really. With 1 week, like everything can change. There could be a 10-point swing. So like if all the 5 players in your Fantasy 5 win, you get +5. If all the 5 players in your opponent's Fantasy 5 lose, well, you get -5. And as you see, the scores will start getting more polarized, and we'll even going to get some negative scores as well as more and more players inevitably lose their games. So as you see, Alexey's pick is doing not that bad. Again, remember my pick was Krishna, who actually didn't play this week. Medusa Hope from Germany, who I think is the strongest player in their team. Mars 15, who is one of the players on 444, and the Doctor, who unfortunately won their duel against Latvia, and then GDLK, who actually lost. Then the collective wisdom pick is doing slightly better, but still not that great. This is about the 5 most picked players: Alexei LV, Keither from Japan, Shud from Japan, someone you know from RCP, and Mikkel Rus from RCP, so quite far behind. The second collective wisdom pick is doing somewhat better. So these are the second 5 most picked players. These are Krista, who didn't play, Prana Febli from Catalonia, Medusa Hope from Germany, Mars 15 from Romania, and Soconero from Spain, who actually also didn't play. As for players, some interesting things. As you see, there's very few players who won all the four first games. This is Mikkel Rus from RCP, Mars 15 from Romania, and Manarori from Mexico. Only 3 players. So yeah, so whoever bet on Mexico is doing great. By the way, I know that like Bikodo now has 4 victories. I don't know, he has 5. I think he didn't play in one of the matches. So he'd also be doing great, but nobody picked him for Fantasy 5. So it's your loss. And of course, there's a bunch of players with 3 victories. Those are players who won all the games to which they were lined up, but they skipped 1 game. So that's Chris, Medusa Hope, Chirapa, Viv from France, Socanero from Spain, and a few others. Well, Sporter now going to get an extra bump after his today's win. The Doctor from China, and several others. Glovier from Portugal, Chomps from Belgium. No, from Czechia. sorry, that was wishful thinking. That you would recruit another strong player. Rabasa from Portugal, Meeple was from Germany. Yes, like quite a few on 3 out of 4. Some of them already on 4 out of 5, but I'll do the total update a little bit later. So this is how y'all are doing. Now I'm just going to check the chat again. And I'm going to put this away. And we're going to look at the tournament table, which is something that I wanted to do before. So, Dr. Taihan in Team D or Team C or Team H? I think good question. I guess I like to call it Team D because for short I like calling him the Doctor rather than referring to his name. Oh yeah, that's true. I'll try to do. I try to do this later. Yes, there is a rank formula. Limbo Man is saying I'll need to do this a little bit later. It's just because I needed to do this really quick. So did I not remove the critical tile thing? No, I thought I was removing it. Anyway. Did I miss any more questions? No, I don't think I did. But you do have the questions, then do let me know. Alrighty, tournament table, last thing for today. Just gonna go over here, have a look at the classification, and let's see how things are going in Portugal's group. So, first of all, in Portugal's group, what's up with Greece and Peru not submitting their result? I mean, come on, it's already like Tuesday of week 5. So that's not cool. Maybe there's been some dispute, I don't know, or like one of the captains is lazy or something. But this probably has been some dispute. I'm going to assume that. Portugal now on 5 out of 5. Belgium now on 1 out of 5. So that's not great for them. So I guess if Belgium wins 2 more matches, they're on 3 out of 7. And yeah, that's just probably not enough because these teams will do some damage to each other and then share points and so on. I mean, there might be like a slim chance how everybody gets like 3 points tied for the 3rd place. Argentina is now looking very well, but the problem with Argentina, they haven't played Portugal yet, and it looks like Portugal is not happy with just guaranteeing themselves the playoffs. They're hungry for blood. They're hungry for emotional damage. You see what they did in the match against the United States. They went a little bit softer now, but I would expect to see some wins. And also they've played against France. They played against Chile. They played against the United States. They played against Belgium. Wait. Oh yeah, they played against Peru. So the matches remaining for Portugal are like Greece and Argentina. Argentina is going to be a tough one because Argentina is going to be way more motivated than Portugal, and they actually have a good squad this year. Greece, yeah, I probably would expect Portugal to win. But, you know, it's Carcassonne. Anything can happen. Oh, interesting. So Peru didn't send the lineup. Huh. And they didn't show up for the match. Thanks for sharing that, Joel. So actually Greece is the one that has the 5-0 victory. That's certainly quite convenient. I don't know why Peru would do that. That is quite unfortunate, but certainly grounds for perhaps selecting a different captain next year. I'm not sure. Alrighty, well, you know, meeple the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please send me suggestions for move of the week for for week 3. Otherwise, I'll just you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just like pick the first move that gets you 4 points, like a 4-point city at the start of the game. and make a whole video about that. Alrighty, I'll see you soon, probably in a couple of days once we have the schedule. Actually, let's check this out together, and do let me know in the chat which matches do you want to see. Japan, Czech Republic certainly could be interesting, because you know that Japan lost already 2 games, so they're now absolutely on their not heels, but like, you know, the pointy part of your feet. I don't know. I was looking for some metaphor that expresses the fact that Japan is in not a very secure position. And then actually I might stream one of those. Yeah, actually I'll probably stream tomorrow. I'll see if I can make it for Spain versus Poland. I really might. And then we'll need to wait until everybody finally submits their match times, which I wish people did sooner. But you know, it takes a lot of negotiation, and then at the end of the day you just end up playing in the default time on Sunday, and then everybody plays on Sunday and we can stream only so much. Crafty saying, when does Latvia play? Not sure. We haven't agreed that yet, but 90% that it's going to be a Sunday, just because it's kind of hard to agree. Joao is saying, I will now cry for my game and celebrate for my team. Actually, yeah, those are the best games. Like, I really don't mind losing my duel as long as like everybody else in my team wins. I obviously like I care about the team win way more than about my individual win. It's usually also like, okay, like if you win and the rest of the team lose, it's a bit of a consolation, but nah, I definitely prefer it to be the other way around. Okay, that should be enough. Thank you so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.